So today we're going to discuss how to use a tape measure. This right here, the tape measure for construction. Inches, half inches, quarter inches, eighth, and 16ths of an inch is what we're going to measure, what you have to be able to measure to on a tape measure. But first let's talk about, everybody has one of these, you were issued one, and I'm going to go over the basics and how to use one. So when you're measuring, you want to put this end of the tape measure on the end you're measuring and hook it, and make sure this end is not bent here, because if it's bent it's going to throw off the measurement. Okay. Now say I wanted to measure 2 feet and a quarter inches. I pull it out here. Now this button right here, you push it down and it locks the tape measure so it won't slide back. So say I wanted to measure 20 and a quarter inches. There's 20, and this tape measure kind of cheats. It has the eighths, it has a quarter and the eighths marked out for you on this tape measure. Some tape measures don't have that. You got to count them out on your own, so you got to know. Every one of these little marks represents a 16th. So 2 16ths equals 1/8. We're going to go over that. But say I wanted to measure 20 and an eighth. So it's measured out 20 and then an eighth. And then I put a mark right there, 20 and an eighth inches. That's the general idea of how to use a tape measure. Now if you want to use it, this is the clip on your belt. Or your pocket like that, so you don't have to keep holding it or put it down and don't misplace it. But right now, let's start off at the beginning. Each inch, I'm going to show you how to measure each inch. So there's 0 and there's 1. So I have this measured out as 1 inch. It could be 1 to 2 inches, 3 to 4 inches. It's any set in between 1 inch and another inch. 1,000 to 1,001 inches, whatever. Okay, this is how we break them down. So the first thing you do is you divide an inch in half. So there's the half inch. And by the way, the lines down between the 2 inches, they're the longest lines. The second longest line is the half-inch line. So the half-inch line, so we took 1 inch and we split it in half. Then we take a half inch and we split a half inch in half. A half of a half is a quarter. So then I have 1/4 here. The other quarter's over here, which adds up to a half. I have another quarter over here, which adds up to 3/4. And then I take the 4th quarter, add up to there, and I'm at another inch. So we got 4 quarters. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like money, 4 quarters adds up to $1. 4 quarters here adds up to an inch. Then we do it one more time. We take the fourths, or the quarters, and we split them in half. Half of a quarter is an eighth. So there should be 8/8 in 1 inch. So I take half of a quarter, I split that in half, that's an eighth. Now an eighth, a quarter mark is this, an eighth mark gets a little shorter than a quarter. So half of a quarter is an eighth. Eighth plus an eighth is 2/8, which is the same as a quarter. A quarter plus an eighth is 3/8. 3/8 plus another eighth is a half. A half plus an eighth is 5/8. 5/8 plus an eighth is 3/4. 3/4 plus an eighth is 7/8. And 7/8 plus an eighth is 8/8, or 1 inch. Everything adds up to an inch. Okay, so now we're down to 8, so we have to do it one more time. A half of an eighth is a 16th. This is how accurate you have to be in construction. You have to be down to 1/16 of an inch. So I take half of an eighth is a 16th. A 1/16 plus a 1/16 is 2/16 or 1/8. 1/8 plus a 1/16 is 3/16. 3/16 plus an 1/8 plus a 1/16 is 4/16 or a quarter. A quarter plus a 1/16 is 5/16. 5/16 plus a 1/16 is 3/8. 3/8 plus a 1/16 is 7/16. 7/16 plus a 1/16 is 8/16, which reduces down to a half. Almost there. A half plus a 1/16 is 9/16. 9/16 plus a 1/16 is 5/8. 5/8 plus a 1/16 is 11/16. 11/16 plus a 1/16 is 3/4. 3/4 plus a 1/16 is 13/16. 13/16 plus a 1/16 is 7/8. 7/8 plus a 1/16 is 15/16. 15/16 plus a 1/16 is 16/16 or 1 inch. So that's how an inch is divided. And that is how you use the tape measure. We'll go over this more as you're building your project, but that gives you an idea how to divide an inch on a tape measure.